Let's go. Let's watch. Oh boy, get ready for a wild ride. This is like 30 minutes of Sky rescuing the worst Warhammer model. I want to see how bad it is, you know what I mean? And how good it looks after he rescues. Here we go.
What's up, hobby friends? My name is Casey, and welcome to another miniature rescue. This week,
Hello,
we're going to tackle
Casey.
what I can only describe as the absolute worst, most ridiculous model I have ever had the pleasure of buying on eBay.
Oh no. Yes, that orc stompa. Is it an orc? Oh, it's
This video
the model is literally called Orc Stompa, I think. This is one that I remember for a long time to come. The Orc Stompa I got off of eBay has been one of the most destroyed, mangled, and messed up models that I've ever worked on. And it took everything in me to get it to the finish line for this video. Oh no.
Sponsored by Broken Anvil. Stick around to learn how you can save 35% off your next order of fantastic minis.
Orktober is in full
what
swing, and this year I thought I'd
What's Broken Anvil? Do they sell like unpainted kits or something? Or like just like general kits? Like I only know of Gamers Workshop. Like I literally don't know anything else. Or not Gamers Workshop, Games Workshop. Like I don't know what kind of makers they are when it comes to Warhammer kits, right? Yeah. I'm very not knowledgeable on this. So I hear like, oh, check them out. They sell minis. I'm like, what does that mean? Huh?
celebrate by painting some of my favorite orc kits from Games Workshop.
I need to
Last
learn
time
more.
we took on the mighty Gazgul Thraka and turned him into a flashy git with some fun and bright colors. The goal was to get away from my regular painting style, which tends to be more on the dark and moody side of things. The grimdark, if you will. And I think we got there in the end. The model ended up with some nice color and really stands out on the table amongst my other green skin minis.
Yeah, the color
That brings
skin's
us
nice.
right into this week's model, one that I teased a bit in the last video. We're pretty much gonna do the exact opposite with this one. Now
I can tell he likes orcs. I think on his desktop wallpaper in the back monitor, he had a wallpaper. I think that is also an orc. Aw.
Now I need to prepare you. This may shock you, it may offend your senses. Please, steady yourself, just sit down.
Oh boy.
Right now.
Oh boy. The stompiest stompa to ever stomp.
This is an orc stompa, the pride and joy of any orc army.
Oh
and
yeah,
a
he's
model
getting
that
into it.
truly has to be seen to be believed. Okay, that wasn't the part I meant for you to sit down for, but now that I know you are, here is the orc stompa that I just bought off of eBay. This stompa has been making the rounds across the internet. I've seen it talked about in hushed tones in a fair few Facebook groups, as well as the underbelly of Reddit. People have
Wait, why is it so neon? This was infamous? Like people knew about this thing? Like it's like, have you seen that Stompa paint job? Like, have you seen that thing? Why is it like highlighter yellow? Bet it glows in the dark? For this color, it better glow in the dark. My eyes, yeah. What? This dude is glowing.
seen this model, and on more than one occasion, I was tagged in a photo of it and asked to buy it. For all who look upon its hideous visage.
Wait, I just noticed too. It's not supposed to look like that in the front, right? Wait, I need to pull up the original again. Sorry. Yeah, wait. It doesn't have pipes in the front, tubes. Why does this orc stompa have a bunch of tubes? What are they cooking? Guys, they were cooking, all right? They had a vision, okay? They were like, what if he had cannons? They were trying to be creative.
Knew that there would be much work to be done, and I knew that I would be the one to take up this quest to rescue this poor orc stompa. Sort of. The real issue is that this was going for $120 on eBay, and nobody was going to pay that when you can seriously get a brand new kit for like $130.
Wait, yeah, like it's not even that much cheaper.
Something you may not have thought about when it comes to buying models on eBay, because I didn't pay that price.
Ooh. Ask nicely. You may be surprised.
In
Haggling.
order to secure a deal on this model, since
Let's
I was
go.
never going to pay MSRP for it, I simply sent a message to the seller, Tista Minis in this case, and asked if they would take less for it. I offered up $50, knowing that it was a bit of a long shot, but $50 is $50 when you have stock that's been sitting around for the last year or more. And in all fairness, I knew that there would be quite a bit of work on this model since it was missing some pretty key pieces. And of course,
This is he's teaching us eBay tricks. He teaches how to haggle. Hey, I bought from them before. Oh, really? I've never seen people play Warhammer. All I see is people painting minis and complaining that their retirement funds all went into buying minis. This is how they get you. They get you into building all these kits, all these little models that you don't know what to do with. I mean, if you truly wanted to spend zero money on the game, you could just play it in Tabletop Sim. I mean, you do still have to buy Tabletop Sim, but, you know, granted, it's not that much. And if you already own it, then it's $0. Yeah, so I feel like, you know, perhaps building it is part of the whole experience. But that's so funny. I've never seen people play War. I mean, to be fair, I've only seen the videos so far of, like, actual, like, gameplay.
all that other stuff on it. I got a message back pretty quick, and all they said was, $50 American, we've got a deal. Which I found to be pretty funny. Maybe that's only me, but I got a good laugh out of that. So I ended up with this very unique, to say the least, model for exactly what I wanted to pay. The point is, if you only want to spend a certain amount on a model, eBay allows you to contact sellers directly just to talk. If you're nice, you be reasonable, you may end up getting exactly what it is you're looking for. I just got this bottle in the mail, and it's time to open her up and take a look at what's really going on.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Plastic.
He's using a hobby cutter. Oh boy, that is huge.
First off, this model is huge. Like,
yeah.
Not kind of big, but...
Look at all the tubes. What? There's so many tubes. What even are these?
Huge. It's about the same size as a Warhound Titan from Forge World, and that's generally considered to be a pretty big mini. As I unwrap the model, I try to just take it all in. There's a lot going on here, and it's hard to wrap my mind around everything that this model is currently.
You know, okay guys, you know what this reminds me of? I am gonna go pull it up right now. Have you guys seen the Psycho Zaku? This is what they're cooking. This image right here. They're trying to get this. let me pull up Zaku's back shot real quick. Here we go. Yeah. Except they're putting way more cannons in the orc here. Oh. You may not like it, but this is what peak Gundam looks like. I mean, honestly, I kind of like it. Like, I like the chonky aesthetic. Like, this is probably gonna take up crazy space on the shelf, but you know, this is pretty cool. So I'm sure whoever made this Stompa, yeah, similar idea here. They were cooking. I'm not sure why they wanted to paint it highlighter yellow/green, but
offering. Now, I did say that this was the worst mini I've ever had the pleasure of buying, but I want to extend a bit of a caveat with that because I want to give some credit to the person who originally put this model together. There are actually good ideas here, and in true orc fashion, it's been partially scratch built to be an over-the-top monster of a model. The extra guns are a cool idea, and there are little quirks with how the model is put together to make it stand off-kilter and look kind of wonky in an...
Yeah, the yellow color is not great. It's a very acid color, right? It's just like, I don't know. It's a very interesting color choice.
An orky good way. There was thought put into what this was gonna be, but I have a feeling that the original builder just got overwhelmed with the model and decided to trade it in for something else, which I get. It happens to the best of us.
Radioactive.
The real issue here is in the execution and type of materials that were actually used to build the model. Let me show you what I mean.
Yeah, it's tennis ball color. It's the same color as algae you see on stagnant ponds. Do you think maybe it was supposed to be like the base color? Like maybe it was just the primer, or was it actually what they were gonna like keep it in terms of like the actual. I don't know. Yeah, maybe base. I feel like it was probably base. It's just they left it as is because when he said like, oh, maybe they got overwhelmed and didn't finish it. It's like, yeah, maybe. Yeah, they just gave up. They're probably trying to layer some stuff, and yeah, we're like, never mind. But hey, as a result, we got something that looks really funny. Probably didn't try a gradient. Yeah. More than likely a base and was going to get darkened down. Yeah. To be honest, running out of steam mid-project happens a lot. Yeah. It's like me whenever I get to making the weapons when I build gunpla. Oh my gosh, I know what you mean. It's like, do I really need to build all these weapons? Orchid Ingenuity Part 2 materials. Alright, what is he gonna grab?
The glue that holds most of this model together is not exactly your standard CA glue. I'm not actually sure what it is. Maybe it's some kind of silicone or Yoo-hoo glue. And while this stuff does work as an adhesive for a lot of things, it tends to be a bit of a mess on a model. There is also some kind of filler in quite a few areas that I'm pretty sure is either air drying clay or possibly Play-Doh. Either way, it's filled some of the larger gaps in the model, but it's flaking away, and it won't permanently fill these gaps for the long term.
Yeah, why is it so flaky? Yeah, Play-Doh would be crazy. And if you guys have ever worked with Play-Doh, you know how that shit cracks when it gets dry. Yeah.
It's always important to remember that there are specialized materials for building models.
Peak orc
Plastic
performance.
Glue and super glue work amazingly well for holding even
Heavy
large
oxygen
pieces of
cement.
plastic together. And there are a variety of gap fillers out there that won't degrade over time. Some of which I will be...
Oh, is this the green?
And there are a variety of gap fillers out there.
You guys mentioned green stuff earlier. Is this it? Okay, it's literally called green stuff. Green stuff, my beloved. Yeah, when you guys mentioned green stuff earlier, and I was like, what the heck is green stuff?
That won't degrade over time. Some of which I will be applying once we get this thing cleaned up and ready to go again. The other thing to remember is that even if you're having a hard time putting a model together, there are places that can help you. Other people online can motivate you and help you get through. So don't give up.
Don't give up.
This video is sponsored
Never
by
give
Broken
up.
Anvil. And if you've had your eye on any of their fantastic minis, I have some very good news for you. Broken Anvil has recently launched a brand
Pumpkinhead.
new web store, and it's full of miniatures for all your tabletop and hobby needs. From their Molly May Goblin Rogue to their Pearl Tooth GIF Wizard. Broken Anvil's
Also, are these like, you don't need to assemble them? They're just like ready for painting sort of kits maybe?
web store has you covered. I really like Broken Anvil minis. They're excellent quality and really fun to paint. Their design is really unique and they offer a great selection of high quality models for players and painters alike. And Broken Anvil is offering Miniature Rescue viewers 35% off their order for the next 14 days with code 35OFF-EMRFAM. So check out Broken Anvil and their fresh new web store by following the link in the description below. Thanks again, Broken Anvil, for sponsoring this video. Now back to that giant...
Are they dead? Is Broken Anvil dead? I just tried to find their website and it is in fact not working. Yeah. Rip the sponsor. That's so sad. Rip, rest in peace.
Stompa.
The final piece that we need to go over here are the missing pieces and how that was fixed originally. The arms of the model and head are currently being held on by magnets. I can definitely see how this solves the problem that the model probably had when being assembled for the first time.
Is this common? Is using magnets in Warhammer common? I think someone once mentioned, like, yeah, magnets make it easy to, like, swap out weapons and stuff. Man, I gotta remember that. Depends on the kits.
There are pieces missing all over the model, and some of those were used to attach the arms. So instead of using random bits of plastic, magnets were put in place to give the model some movement.
That's cool.
It makes sense on paper, but these magnets are just too big and will always look like magnets, even when painted. So they all need to go. I don't plan on doing any major changes to this model after it's finished, so magnets won't be needed. We're not going to be doing any weapon swaps. What that means though is that I'm going to need to find a way to get these arms to stick to the body and still be sturdy enough to be played on the table. I'm going to take this model apart and see what's really going on underneath. Then we can figure out what needs to be done in order to start getting it back to the original
What's
design.
under the model? What's under the massive chonky armor? Oh, it's really useful for more expensive models that come with multiple variants. Oh, they're useful for getting your full value of the kit. Yeah. You can add a thin layer of plastic to wrap around the magnets to hide them and then add rivets to it. Oh, cool. Mostly for vehicles, so you don't have to buy multiple kits and build them with different weapon combinations. Oh, yeah, right. Because I forget that, like, if you use glue, you know, obviously you can't take it off. Like, this isn't really like Gunpla where you like snap on weapons and stuff and you could just snap it off and swap it, right? Yeah, so I can see why magnets would like kind of solve that issue. And before there's a hamster inside. No! Some dead rat, I guess. Oh boy, oh boy. What surprise is waiting for us inside? I'm scared. Oh, it's just hollow. Thank God. Whoa. So much goo. Hopes and dreams true. Every kit is an orc kit.
As it happens, finding orc bits is a lot easier than you may think. You can take parts and pieces from any kit and make it something orky. If you can make it fit, it might as well be something that an orc salvaged from a fallen enemy and used to fix up their ride. In this case, I do need some bits to fill in space on the body because one of the front panels is missing, as well as the face guard that hides the neck joint. And lastly, pieces to fix the arms to the body. While some of the parts of the model
What is that machine that he has? Did he say? I might have missed it.
soak in the sonic cleaner.
Oh, it's a cleaner.
Bits.
Okay.
So let's look through some boxes and see what we can come up with to solve our problems. I decided to start by taking a look at what a completed Stompa actually looks like. It has some really neat walkways along its back, as well as a platform that connects the gun arm. So a flat panel across the top can act as a kind of crow's nest, as well as a good piece of plastic joining the arm to the body. The first thing I
really like this like wind-up toy sort of look. That's the vibes it's giving me. It's usually used for jewelry. Oh, yeah. I've like never seen that before, so I say.
The first thing I want to do is go through anything that could possibly fit this model as is. Something from an existing orc kit. Since I have them, I might as well look. So I'm going to get out my Kill Team box and take a quick look through a 40k Combat Patrol box that I've had sitting around for a while. There are some really good looking bits in these boxes. The Kill Team terrain could be repurposed to fill in a large panel, but I'd have to cut up an entire piece of finished terrain, and I don't really want to do that since it's kind of a set. The Combat Patrol box looks a little bit better. It has an Orc Death Dread in it, and those can be useful.
A lot of little guys.
The problem really comes down to the size of these bits. Normally, these would be great for converting something orky, but even the Death Dread is super tiny compared to the Stompa, and that just won't go far enough to make this work in the ways it needs to. So I pulled out a box of terrain bits that I purchased locally a few months ago. I found a guy on Facebook selling 3 full sets of Games Workshop terrain for a really good price, and I knew
the Stompa needs a lot because of how big it is. I was thinking like, what if just took like a bunch of like orcs and like merged them into the Stompa? It would look so cursed. It would definitely lose its machinery look. It will look a little bit more like fleshy. Someone has done it, ayo.
that they would come in handy at some point. All of this industrial stuff is gonna be perfect. The larger panels can be cut down, and there are some really cool vehicles that can be incorporated into the model and still look really cool. I also have a bunch of ladders that can be used for the back of the model where the walkways are supposed to go. That should work.
I like that you can take a lot of creative liberties with this. And especially just because of the aesthetics of the Stompa, I feel like it has more of that junkyard look, right? So you could really like just like throw in anything. Because they steal,
really
right?
Well. And I'm thinking I can make a whole system of ladders and platforms in the back of this Stompa. Okay, so I have a pile of plastic. Let's get this model cleaned up and start getting this put back together.
Pioneer Reassembly Part 1, the foundation.
The Sonic Cleaner has done an okay job taking up the paint. Still, there is a bunch of glue and clay all over that has to be picked off by hand and by...
I think this might be my first kit bashing video I watch. I've never seen anyone do a kit bash, even for a Gunpla. I need to watch. I need to see if I can find some Gunpla ones too. Yeah, this is the first time I see someone do this sort of thing.
Still, there is a bunch of glue and clay all over that has to be picked off by hand and by knife. I take my time on each piece and scrape away until I'm left with a pretty clean surface.
That's so much
One
work.
of the downsides to getting models in a condition like this is that you really never know what's going to be underneath that paint. Things happen when we build models, and we make decisions in the moment that, while we understand, would make it difficult for other people to see why those decisions were made. It's part of
the color scraped off. It looks like puke. The one rubbing off onto the towel.
Rescuing models, and something that can almost always be worked around. But sometimes, I'm really just at a loss and scratching my head. Once these pieces are cleaned, it's time to start dry fitting the model back together and figuring out how it needs to be built. Since there are some larger pieces missing, I'm gonna have to get a little creative as to how to fill some of these larger gaps. I'll start by making the model stand up on its own by removing and rearranging the feet. They were twisted inside the body and glued down with what I'm pretty sure was 2-part epoxy, so I had to cut them away from the bottom platform. Unfortunately, that made it really difficult, and I kind of ended up breaking the entire thing into several pieces. So after gluing the pieces back together, I got the feet into position and got them glued onto the platform. Saved. This build is already off to an interesting start, to say the least. Since there are still large gaps in those areas, and the entire platform needs more reinforcement, I decided to get out the milliput in order to fill in the rest of the gaps and make sure that the whole thing wouldn't fall apart after putting the rest of the model on top of it. We need to make sure that...
You know how I said at the beginning, like, oh, is this just like something where he just paints it? No, this guy, he has to reassemble pretty much all of it. He's not even painting yet. There's so much to do here.
The foundation is strong enough to support the entire model. He's a real big guy, after all. To show where they go together
make new
and
parts.
hold a specific angle to make sure that they follow the lines of the base. Of course, we know that there were large gaps before, so after getting rid of all the red clay, it's kind of worse. But they at least fit together to the point that I know that's where they're supposed to go. So I glue as much together as I can, keeping in mind that I'm gonna have to patch it with more milliput. That should hold it together nicely and make sure everything will stay together during a game. Once I got the...
Yeah, getting this to just like hold together seems like a lot of work already. Often he just repaints, but this model was something. This is a special exception.
Majority of the body together, save the missing front panel. I was able to lower it onto the base and get it glued down. That was a bit tricky, but once I got it in place, I used a little bit of CA glue activator to hold it there until I could get some putty on there and it would really dry nice and tight. The body is now feeling pretty strong. Everything sits nicely and hasn't fallen apart yet, so I think we're in a good place.
Good, it hasn't
now
fallen
it's
apart.
time to start filling in the missing areas in the model and make the body complete.
Wait, his desktop wallpaper changed. It's different now.
Start filling in the missing areas in the model and make the body complete. I found this awesome little hatch for my terrain bits and put that over the top of the broken one. Then I decided to fit a bit of Imperial fencing over the hole in the back. Having a few pieces that are recognizably from the same set also lends itself to looking like a salvage patch job, which I really like. So enough of these pieces bashed together will help give this Stompa a cool and unique look. Onto the large hole in this poor Stompa's chest. I decided to use the large orc scrap skull to cover most of it, but there was going to be a rather large hole near the bottom that I couldn't really decide how to cover. Then it kind of hit me.
Dude, Kitbashing is so insane though. Like, I could not imagine building something without instructions. I'm already bad enough at following instructions, but I feel like I would be so lost without a guide. Like, people that can Kitbash, I feel like they're super experienced. And just like, they can feel, they can, you know, they can pick up the parts and feel it. They know. They, you know how it's instead of like the heart of the cards, it's like the heart of the plastic. Like, they feel it.
I could use it like kind of a cargo hold where the top could come down and cover it, but something could come out. I put a bunch of different bits on the inside, tubes, walls, and ladders, and in the end I decided it would be awesome to have this little grabby hook vehicle kind of bursting out of the front. The top could come down to overlap it a little bit and help bring it into the design. And the hook could be considered a cool extra bit coming off the front.
So it sticks
I thought as
out.
well that I could build out a little platform in the front and have an orc standing there like it was part of the plan all along.
Oh, that'd be
So that's
nice.
something to keep in mind as this continues to build out.
The orc
Where can I
mech.
place orcs so that they live on or in this huge monster stampa? The back of the model is probably lacking the most detail right now, and that really needs to be taken care of. Luckily, these bits of terrain that I've been working with have walkways and railings that will go perfectly with the bits that have already been glued on. I started with the first platform and built off of that. This is another great spot for an extra orc to have the high ground.
Yeah, people say that orc kits encourage kit bashing. Yeah, I can see why. Like, it kind of works with the aesthetic. Kit bash, I think, starts as a cost-saving measure for people, but they just fall into the rabbit hole. I didn't even know kit bashing was a cost-saving. Emuri dayon. Am I interrupting? Well, too bad. Did you know that only like 4% of you guys are subscribed? I would appreciate if you guys subscribe because it would bring me great joy and motivation. Yeah, please subscribe. Thank you. Measure. I thought it was just like something for funsies, you know? Well, it could be both.
The high ground.
I really like how this all ended up going together. The platforms are big enough to fit a few bodies, and the ladders got cut down to create the perfect length to go between each level.
Yeah, the big guns, let's go! You just gotta channel your inner Bob Ross. We don't make mistakes, we have happy accidents. Exactly. That's what I'm gonna be telling myself when I paint. In Warhammer, it can be a cost-saving thing, not so much gunpla. Okay, so this is another one of those like interesting, I guess, like cool differences to learn from gunpla. I see. In Warhammer, it's cost saving. Or it could be. Yeah, because gunpla kit bashing is expensive, I have heard. You guys were saying. Oh.
Alright, so this is probably the most difficult part of this rescue. The big gun arm doesn't have any of the parts that it needs to be attached to the body in the correct position. Even with the magnets,
Snip,
it was
snip.
angled off to the side and not sitting flat enough to build out the platform for the orcs to reach it. So I went through some old bits I had for an Imperial Titan and found part of the arm assembly that I didn't actually use. It has the arm attachment for the knight, and that should give us something to pin to the side of this stampa. I cut off the ammo tank and sanded it flush so it would fit on the side of the actual guns. Once that was glued on, I was able to use a little milliput to make sure that the gaps were filled in and it would stick more permanently. Then I used some extra plates from the terrain I've been using to make armor plates, much like
I love
the
this
body.
time lapse.
And for the platform that connects it to the body, an old rhino back door. The inside of the tank door is basically diamond plating, so it looks
Back door is such a cute idea. Yeah, Milliput saving the day. He's been using so much Milliput on this kid.
perfect as a connector. All in all, it worked out very well, and I think it looks very much like it was actually intended. The other arm, actually not much to say about that one. It was pretty much good to go. The connection points were still intact underneath the magnets, so I just put it on.
Jaws, here we go.
The last thing to do was to give this
Super
fella
original.
a set of jaws. The head actually looks pretty bad sitting on top of it all by itself, and I wanted to make sure to cover up the neck so it looked cooler. Unfortunately, the original
I like the
jaws
head.
that fit on the head and cover that bad joint wasn't included, so I had to look elsewhere. I seriously looked for a good hour through all of my bits, and I couldn't find anything that I could turn into a set of metallic jaws. I ended up taking the front off of my old orc truck that I rescued a few years ago, in
Ooh,
which
that's
I
cute.
3D printed a sweet spiky grill for the front. I didn't want to take it off since
Nice.
it was sized perfectly for the truck.
3D printing saves the day. And I did see he had a 3D printer in the back of his room, so. Oh.
But the way I was thinking about it is I really didn't have any other option right now. I mean, I could get the 3D printer out, get it all set up, find the files for the grill,
Good
size
job.
it, print it, but I just
That's gonna
moved
look so
and I
good.
don't really know where the power cable is for the printer. So this is gonna have to do. And wouldn't you know it, it actually worked out pretty well.
Actually-
and really finishes off this model.
It looks, I'm comparing it to the original right now, right? That, you know, has the jaw and stuff. It actually looks pretty similar. Oh.
So the Stampa is now a complete model. And on
Nice.
top of that, it's a very custom monstrosity. Something
Custom
that really is
monstrosity.
mine now, and it has its own unique look as a centerpiece model. I'm pretty excited about it. Of course, it still needs paint, and we're gonna get
Yeah.
there. But before that, we need to fix a few issues and get this model ready.
Oh.
I mentioned at the top of this video that we were going to be doing the exact opposite type of paint job that I did
Base
on
color?
the Gazgul Thraka model that I painted last time. He's clean, he's pretty, for an orc, and I was trying to expand the way that I approach
Became an
my
orc.
painting. This guy, well, he's got a lot of problems that we need to actually accentuate and add to. So grimdark it is, and here's how we get started. Using texture paint, something with a little grit in it, I'm going to go over areas of the model that are going to be rusty or dirty and coat them with that paint.
Cool.
This is going to do a couple of things. It's going to add the grittiness to the model and give it that texture. And it's also going to cover up any broken or missing pieces. I do want to focus this around joints and near the bottom of the model, so it looks well used and war-torn. And once this step is done and dry, it's finally ready to be primed. It is...
I didn't think of like adding that kind of texture like first before like adding the paint. That's really cool.
amazing how different this guy looks. Seriously.
Yeah,
it's
what
already
the-
been a long journey just to get to
Oh.
this point. And I
Oh yeah,
almost-
this is the one he just primed. I thought he was showing off like, I don't know, like a different one. I don't know why. That's crazy. It looks so different. What the heck?
almost don't want to touch
Or
it
he
with a
didn't prime it. He just like, I don't know. He put like a base coat. I don't know, whatever it's called. Yeah, but sheesh. Yeah, I think he did prime it. Yeah.
paintbrush. But that's really not why we're here, and it needs to be done now. So let's paint bravely and get it done.
Time to paint. Orc chop. Yeah, that
The
is
first
prime.
major decision is going to be color. And because last time I went with yellow, we're going to double down and do yellow again. I'm going to show you the easiest way to get a good yellow that has highlights and shadows built in. And you know what? I wasn't going to say it, but here it is. We are going to slap chop this bad boy right now and get it ready for a gift. Okay, not
That he's gonna show us how to achieve a proper yellow. Yeah, it's so satisfying to see it like all painted one color now.
really slap chop, but it uses the
Slap
same
chop.
ideas. So the first thing is to get a white undercoat on the model, something to set us up for a filter of transparent yellow. These armor panels are really big too, so I'm going to focus the light
lighter.
towards the center and top of each one,
Got the
leaving
airbrush.
a bit of black around the edges and near the bottom. Once the model is covered and looking pretty good, I'll take some muted pink from Liquitex and lay down the shadows. This will be
Pink for shadows, interesting. Oh, I don't know color theory. Toxic puke yellow is gone, thank God. Yellow is a tough color in minis. Yeah, I bet. I mean, we just saw like a good example of a bad yellow. Oh, pink is good for yellow shadows. Oh.
mainly focused on the undersides of larger objects and near the edges and bottom of each armor panel. Follow that up with a few light coats of Liquitex yellow, the transparent one, and you get a seriously bright yellow and deep orangey brown shadows. So
They look
you
orangey.
see, it's like slap chop, but with an airbrush and inks. Normally we just call it a filter, which is what you're actually doing with the slap chop method anyways, but also not. We don't need to go into it. Enough with the slap chop.
Man, I love the little window on the
We don't need
front.
to go into it.
Yeah, I like the little opening. Oh, it's so good. Oh my gosh. My stomper has a belly window.
Enough with the slap chop.
Stomper belly window.
So we have the main
ooh.
color on the model. Next step will be to matte varnish that shiny ink and start to work on the metallics. For a lot of these metal bits, I can actually take my dark steel from Vallejo Metal Color and just airbrush it on. And to finish it all off and reach the small panels on the body, I'll just use a paintbrush. This really breaks up the color and starts to add a ton more interest to the model. Even though that yellow looks really good, it still needs things to break it up, or you start to lose details in a sea of color. That also means that
This reminds me of patchwork, like quilting and just like clothing. And I love the aesthetic of patchwork. Yeah, it's starting to kind of look like that, and I really like it.
things to break it up, or you start to lose details in a sea of color. That also means that we're going to need to create even more separation by adding more color. So let's do that right now.
Yeah, more color. Let's go. An oily mess. Here we go. Yeah, like just like the color separation and like the different like textures and patterns and like materials. It's all patchwork.
In order to start weathering this model down a bit and really bring out that grimdark vibe, I decided to mix up a few different oil washes. The first one will be an all-over wash of black. This will help separate the armor panels
washes.
and essentially blackline the model.
I learned the power of them.
The second wash is going to be a
earlier.
teal verdigris that I mix with blue and bright green. This will be more targeted to the panels that need a little more color and will end up mixing with some kind of rust. Not that rust has or creates verdigris, but the colors right next to each other are great and will play into the theme of this model. It's scrapped together from all sorts of materials and painted over. So weathering, rusting, and all of the above can mix nicely and give us some good color variety. Plus it's fake. So, whatever. I went pretty hard with this and covered almost every large metal part. I also used a small brush to hit a ton of rivets and let the oil run down the sides to look like water damage. And to finish it all off, I used a little bit of dirty down rust on the panels and over a lot of the textured areas to give it some rust. Altogether, it looks pretty nice and dirty. Now that the first weathering pass is complete, I want to shine up a lot of the metal parts by doing a dry brush of bright aluminum. Mostly to bring back some metallic shine on larger objects, but I also want to hit some of the edges of weathering to give the impression that there's still a little bit of metal holding this thing together.
Yeah, now I know what dry brushing is too, thanks to the previous video. Best paint to recreate rust is actual rust.
It's quick and it really adds a nice level of shine to the metal. The other thing we need to do is chip the paint up on the body. So I go around each panel
that looks so good.
paint in some chipping. This really gives each panel more separation from the others and a ton more visual interest to the model.
He says chipping. Yeah, like it's like chip paint, but like, I don't know, just the way it glows. Like it's supposed to look like chip paint, but like the way it shines through looks so good. I love it.
Really happy with the way that this went, and it looks properly torn up now.
Yeah.
The last edition.
You can do chipping with paint, but you can also use colored pencils. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Because like when I see like people weathering their, I guess weathering and chipping effects might be a little different, but thought they might be a little similar. Like for gunpla, like I saw someone weathering their kit with weathering pencils. So maybe it's something similar.
The model I want to do for now is to add a bit of freehand. Originally, I was planning on laying down some orc decals, but seriously, none of the ones that I actually have are big enough to make sense. So freehand it is. The first one.
His wallpaper changed again. What he's doing is painting the silver in a messy way with a brush. There's also a thing where you can literally chip off paint, which is also cool. Oh yeah. That's also pretty cool. Yeah, if you want to get the effect sometimes you could just literally do it. But if not, you know, you could like replicate it with more layers. Black pencil for white and silver for colored pieces. You can sponge chip colors as well. Oh, yeah.
Ones that I actually have are big enough to make sense.
Good tips.
So freehand it is. The first one to go down will be a set of red flames on one of the front panels. I drew it out with a pencil and then filled it in with a dark red paint. It definitely adds that orky feel to the overall paint job, but we need to keep going to try and balance out this model with the red. Next up, I lay down a nice checker pattern over the faceplate. I did the same thing with a pencil and lightly drew it in.
Patterns, my beloved.
Dark red, and then came back in with some lighter red to keep it bright on the top. I followed that up with a thin glaze of black on the bottom of each square to make them look.
He's doing it so cleanly. Like he's not even using like stencil or anything, you know what I mean? Like, bro's just freehand, yeah. Emuri dayon! Did you know that the clips here are all taken from my streams? So if you'd like to catch me real time or see everything, be sure to subscribe to my main channel! Please and thank you! Now sit back and enjoy the rest of the video!
Like they were scratched into the yellow rather than painted in. And I finished it off with some chipping to complete that effect.
Yeah, the confidence!
The last bit of the model is to add some weathering powder to really punch up the rust and dirt. It also allows me to incorporate this model into my existing army that has a ton of this orange rust powder added to it already. So I take my time and go around each piece of the model adding little bits of orange rust. As a final addition, I really want to get a few boys on this Stompa. Having a few painted models riding this guy really makes it more complete,
It's almost
and makes
complete.
each piece of the model tell a bit more of a story. Like, how did that orc get up there? What are they doing over here? That type of thing.
Orc mech, orc mech.
Moreover, it really gives you a sense of scale. This Stompa is
Yeah.
a big model, and these orcs are very small in comparison. Now that we are closing in on the end of October, I'm getting a little sad. Not that
Orktober.
I couldn't just keep painting orcs right into November and beyond, but you know, the season where I get to see special orc projects online every single day is almost over. The community really rallies around this quasi-event every year, and it's amazing to see
That
how
was
many
a tough
creative
one.
and talented people there are out there coming up with absolutely amazing works of art centered around orcs, of course. This particular build was one of the toughest that I've encountered on this channel, and it took many hours to actually complete. Paint job aside, it took me a stupid amount of time just to clean the thing. I'm hoping that the original owner is out there and still hobbying, and that this video can serve as a reminder that even if we make mistakes and try new things that don't quite work out, with a little bit of elbow grease and perseverance, we can push through and get to a model that we can be happy with.
I hope the original owner saw this video. Oh my gosh. They probably would have been blown away.
Very excited about how this Stompa turned out. He's got a proper amount of orc scrappiness about him and a grand helping of dirt and grime. The perfect recipe for a successful orc project that can serve in my army. Thank you again for joining me on another miniature rescue. If you like something about this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing, as it really helps out the channel. Once again, I'm Casey, and I will see you in the
That was
next
so
video.
cool.
And of course, here is the completed.
Oh, yeah, here we go, here we go.
Thanks again, guys.
Oh, starting from opening the box for the before and after. The epic reveal. Crazy time lapse. Yeah, the thing is, obviously it's an edited video and he's like super skilled, so he makes it look easy, but holy shit, this must have been blood, sweat, and tears. I like that grill. This highlighter yellow's great. From this into this. Now this definitely looks like something out of the 40k universe and the Warhammer universe. So cool. I think adding the little orcs, well, they're not little, but like the kid is just big, you know, the stomp was just big, but adding those in made it look so much better just because of the scale. It's like the pilots, the fighters, and then oh my gosh, I like the tally marks right here on the panel. That's a cute little detail as well. I don't know how he did this. That's actually insane. It's massive. The orc kit that's in front of the Stompa, the one he kept showing off during the video, like when he had the close-ups, it looked large, but compared to the Stompa, now it looks small, you know? Sheesh. Look at those orcs. And he made the yellow look good. Damn! That was so cool. What the heck? That was amazing. Yeah. I want to watch more of his videos now.